One show had a robot host that made people uncomfortable before the first commercial break. Another had aliens that looked like melted puppets straight out of a fever dream. These weren't just TV flops, they were full-blown train wrecks. From awkward spin-offs to shows that were doomed before they even aired, these are 15 forgotten shows from the 1990s that were huge flops. Number 15, Flying Blind, 1992. Before Neil Patrick Harris was everyone's favorite womanizer, there was Flying Blind. Back in 1992, Fox gave us this weird little romance comedy. Neil plays this nervous, polite guy who ends up falling for Alicia, who's basically a human tornado. She's wild, loud, unpredictable, and totally impossible to ignore. The dialogue was quick, the side characters were strange in the best way, and the whole thing felt like a romantic comedy that couldn't decide if it wanted to be sweet or spicy. The thing is, behind the scenes, the creators couldn't agree. One wanted cute, the other wanted edgy, so the tone was all over the place. Not terrible, but definitely messy. Fox aired the full season, but ratings stayed flat. No goodbye, no wrap-up, just vanished. Most people didn't even realize it ended, but if you watched it back then, you definitely remember Taya lighting up the screen. Number 14, The Heights, 1992. It had a hit song, just not a hit show. How Do You Talk to an Angel hit number 1 on the charts in 1992, and for a second, The Heights looked like it was about to blow up. The show followed a group of young musicians trying to make it big while juggling regular jobs and messy relationships. It was all very, let's follow our dreams, but without much going on. The drama was flat. You had a guy scared to perform, someone stuck in a love triangle, and a few background problems that never really hit. People tuned in for the song, not the story. Once the novelty wore off, so did the audience. Fox dropped it after 12 episodes. The fake band broke up, and just like that, The Heights vanished. One big song and not much else. Number 13, The Golden Palace, 1992. When The Golden Girls ended, fans weren't ready to let it go. So the network gave us The Golden Palace. Same ladies minus B. Arthur and a brand new setup. This time, Blanche, Rose, and Sophia bought a hotel and tried running it themselves. It had potential. Don Cheadle played the serious hotel manager, and Cheech Marine was the quirky chef. But something felt off. The warm, close-knit energy of the original show got replaced with hotel lobbies and kitchen chaos. It just didn't feel the same. The cast gave it their best. Betty White was still hilarious, and Cheadle showed star power early on. But without Dorothy to balance the group, things didn't quite land. The jokes were slower. The heart wasn't as strong. Ratings started okay, then dropped. Even B. Arthur came back for 2 episodes, but it wasn't enough. After 1 season, The Golden Palace shut its doors for good. It tried to carry on the legacy, but some things are better left as they were. Number 12, Minor Adjustments, 1996. NBC wanted another cozy family sitcom, so they gave comedian Rondell Sheridan his own show. He played Dr. Ron Ames, a child psychologist trying to keep things together while surrounded by weird coworkers and even weirder patients. It had the usual setup. Ron was the calm center while everyone around him spiraled. There was a Valley Girl receptionist, a twitchy orthodontist next door, and lots of one-liner life lessons. But it all felt flat. The jokes didn't hit. The charm never showed up. NBC gave it a shot, then passed it off to UPN, hoping for a better fit. It wasn't. 20 episodes aired, but no one really noticed. Sheridan moved on to better roles, and Minor Adjustments faded fast. Just another sitcom that came and went without leaving a mark. Number 11, Bone Chillers, 1996. Bone Chillers was ABC's answer to Goosebumps, a spooky show for kids set at a weird high school called Edgar Allan Poe High. Every episode had teens dealing with some kind of creepy problem: haunted lockers, cursed yearbooks, or slime-covered monsters. It was low budget, goofy, and full of fog machines. The vibe was fun and weird, and it even ended with a little go read a book message. But then came the problem. One of the monster actors turned out to be Ron Jeremy, a name that had no business showing up in a kids' show. Once parents found out, that was pretty much it. ABC dropped it after just 13 episodes. Linda Cardellini was in it before she got famous, but the rest? Mostly forgotten. If you remember this one, chances are it freaked you out in ways it probably wasn't supposed to. Number 10, Perversions of Science, 1997. What do you do after Tales from the Crypt? If you're HBO, you try to get even weirder. Enter Perversions of Science, a sci-fi show with robot, sex jokes, and a whole lot of awkward. Every episode was introduced by a clunky CGI robot named Chrome. She looked like a mix between a Barbie doll and a kitchen appliance, and every line out of her mouth was some cringy innuendo that made you want to look away. The show was built around short sci-fi stories, some deep and thoughtful, others just kind of sleazy. Big names like Jamie Kennedy, Jason Lee, and Robert Picardo popped up in early episodes, so the cast wasn't the problem. But the tone? Total mess. One minute you're watching a serious tech story, and the next it feels like a bad late-night comedy sketch. Critics were confused. It looked cool, and you could tell HBO spent some money, but it didn't know what it wanted to be. Was it smart science fiction? Was it softcore? Nobody could tell. It kicked off with a flashy 3-episode drop and some early buzz, but by episode 10, HBO had enough. Most people don't even remember it now unless they're talking about weird missteps from HBO's early days. Perversions of Science wanted to be bold. It just ended up being bizarre. Number 9, Nowhere Man, 1995. What if you woke up one day and everything was gone? Your wife doesn't recognize you, your house doesn't exist, and the only clue you have is one strange photo. That's the setup for Nowhere Man, a slow, eerie thriller that hit UPN in 1995. Bruce Greenwood plays Thomas Vale, a photojournalist who suddenly finds his entire life erased. Files look simple. The show was cold, quiet, and unsettling, like falling into someone else's nightmare. Every episode had Vale chasing answers, running from government agents, shady companies, and symbols that never quite added up. Some people loved it. The ones who stayed with it were into the whole paranoid, slow burn vibe, but for most viewers, it moved too slow. They wanted answers. UPN gave it one season, 25 episodes, and then shut it down without ever revealing the full story. Fans still talk about it. Some even begged for a reboot, but Nowhere Man stayed true to its name. It disappeared. A show full of questions that never got answered. Number 8, Roar, 1997. Before anyone knew who Heath Ledger was, he starred in a show called Roar. It was supposed to launch him in the US, a big fantasy series set in 400 AD about a young Celtic prince fighting Romans and supernatural forces. It looked amazing. Shot in Ireland, every scene felt like a movie. Ledger played Connor, this intense warrior with a mysterious destiny. There were sword fights, druids, dark magic, basically early Game of Thrones vibes before Game of Thrones existed, but the timing? Terrible. Fox threw it on during summer when nobody's watching serious dramas. People just didn't know what to make of it. The ratings flopped. Ledger stood out, but the story jumped all over the place, from deep mythology to soap-level drama. Only 8 of the 13 episodes aired at first. The rest showed up in reruns or overseas. Ledger moved on to become a star. Roar didn't, but it was his first big step, an early glimpse of what was coming. Number 7, Dark Skies, 1996. Dark Skies was like the X-Files meets a history class, but with aliens. The idea? Aliens secretly took over Earth in the 60s. JFK, the Beatles, the moon landing, it was all part of their master plan. The main guy, played by Eric Close, stumbles onto the truth while working in politics. His girlfriend, played by Megan Ward, gets dragged into it too. Next thing you know, they're running from creepy agents, alien parasites, and a ton of government cover-ups. The show moved fast, threw out wild theories, and was supposed to span 5 decades, 1 season per decade. But NBC pulled the plug after just 1. Ratings weren't great, and it ended on a big cliffhanger that never got resolved. Now it's one of those shows that people randomly remember and go, wait, what happened to that one? And honestly, it had potential. Just didn't get the time it needed. Number 6, Lost on Earth, 1997. Even by late 90s standards, Lost on Earth was out there. The plot? A TV reporter named David Rudy gets bumped down to a dead-end late-night gig, only to find that the basement studio is already taken by alien puppets, who learned everything they know about Earth from The Muppet Show. No joke, but these weren't your cute, cuddly Muppets. They were weird-looking, kind of creepy foam creatures with names like Angela and Gary. They bickered nonstop, made rude jokes, and basically acted like a bunch of alien frat bros with a TV budget. David's stuck trying to run this chaotic alien newscast. The puppets constantly mess with him. They flirt with his girlfriend. One even steals his socks. It was meant to be satire. Instead, it felt like a bad trip. Tim Conlon actually did a solid job as the straight man, and Paul Gleason, the principal from The Breakfast Club, played his cranky boss. But none of it landed. Viewers didn't get it. Critics hated it. After just 6 episodes, UPN pulled the plug. Most people don't even remember this show existed, and the ones who do probably wish they didn't. Lost on Earth is the kind of show that makes you wonder who said yes to this in the first place. Number 5, Townies, 1996. If you weren't paying close attention in the fall of '96, you probably missed Townies. ABC was trying to launch another female-led comedy, and they brought out some serious talent: Molly Ringwald, Jenna Elfman, and a pre-Gilmore Girls Lauren Graham. The show was about 3 best friends stuck in a small New England town. They worked dead-end jobs, hung out on porches with beers, and wondered if life was passing them by. It had charm, it had potential, but it also had issues. The writing leaned way too hard on tired sitcom jokes. Jenna Elfman's character, even with all her natural charisma, was stuck delivering eye-roll-worthy lines. Ron Livingston showed up as Ringwald's love interest, then disappeared halfway through the season without a word. Plots didn't build, they just reset every week. And the tone? All over the place. Sometimes trying to be edgy, sometimes super heartfelt, but never quite landing either. There was a second there when it seemed like the show might take off, but it didn't. ABC made 15 episodes, only aired 10, and quietly pulled the plug. The actors moved on to better things. Townies just kind of disappeared, a decent idea that never quite figured out what it wanted to be. Number 4, Swift Justice, 1996. Dick Wolf, the guy behind Law & Order, tried something darker with Swift Justice. It starred James McCaffrey as Max Swift, a former Navy SEAL turned no-rules detective. He lived in a warehouse, rode a motorcycle, carried a flashy gun, and dished out justice with a scowl and a few one-liners. This wasn't about the courtroom. It was all street fights, busted doors, and beatdowns. Shot in New York, it had Wolf's signature gritty vibe, but way more violent. And that was the problem. Viewers weren't ready for it. Critics hated how brutal it was. Advertisers bailed. UPN panicked. Only 13 episodes aired. Despite the cool look and McCaffrey's performance, it tanked fast. Swift Justice tried to be bold, but it came off more like a warning. Tone it down or you're done. Number 3, Camp Wilder, 1992. TGIF had a clear vibe. Warm family moments, silly jokes, and plenty of hugs. Camp Wilder tried to join the club, but never really found its rhythm. The idea wasn't bad. Ricky Wilder, played by Mary Page Keller, is a young woman raising her siblings after their parents are out of the picture. She also opens her home to neighborhood teens who need a place to crash or feel seen. It's part hangout, part heart-to-heart central. The cast had some serious future stars. Hilary Swank, way before her Oscar wins, Jerry O'Connell doing his goofy thing, Jay Moore adding some comedy, though sometimes it leaned way too cringe. The show wanted to be heartfelt, but often came off awkward and all over the place. Some episodes actually had depth. They tackled stuff like grief, confidence, and growing up. But others just felt like background noise, random jokes, weird scenes, no real direction. ABC didn't seem sure what they wanted it to be either. And the finale? Never even aired in the US. It showed up in Germany first. That's how low-key its exit was. 1 season, 19 episodes, and a whole lot of what could have been. Number 2, MIGO, 1997. From the same team behind Family Matters and Perfect Strangers, MIGO was one last shot at making the whole alien crashes on Earth and lives with a human family thing work. This time, it was Bronson Pinchot playing a 9,000-year-old alien who somehow ends up as a nanny to 3 suburban kids. Yep, that was the pitch. It had some familiar faces: Michelle Trachtenberg from Harriet the Spy and Jonathan Lipnicki, aka the adorable kid from Jerry Maguire. The formula was simple. Alien gets confused by human stuff, messes things up, learns a lesson, over and over again. But by 1997, people were kind of done with it. The jokes felt old, the catchphrases were awkward, and unlike ALF, which was weird but lovable, MIGO was just loud and kind of annoying. CBS pulled the plug after 6 episodes. They aired a few more just to get them out of the way, but even hardcore TGIF fans didn't care. If anyone remembers MIGO now, it's only as the show that got replaced by Kids Say the Darndest Things. Finally, at number 1, The Dana Carvey Show, 1996. This show had everything going for it. Big names, big talent, and a network willing to take a chance. But it blew up fast. Dana Carvey had just come off Saturday Night Live and wanted to shake up sketch comedy. He brought in Louis C.K. to run the writer's room. A young Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert joined the cast. On paper, it looked like a guaranteed hit. But then, the first episode aired. It only got weirder from there. Skits about skin falling off, waiters missing heads, random German soap opera parodies. Viewers freaked out. Advertisers pulled their money. ABC kept switching the time slot, hoping something would stick. It didn't. After 7 episodes, they canceled it. And yet, years later, people started calling it brilliant. Not because it worked at the time, but because it showed what was coming. Everyone involved went on to dominate comedy for the next 20 years. The Dana Carvey Show flopped hard, but it didn't just disappear, it became a cult classic. These 15 shows came in loud, weird, and full of promise, but they're proof that not everything hyped in the 90s was built to last. So which one did you actually sit through, or still secretly love? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more forgotten throwbacks just like this.